Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to show you how I edit this image. It's from my newest collaboration with Irene Rudnick and Julia Trordi. It's live now on her channel. I'm going to link it down below. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. So basically this is a little before. I'm just going to restore the settings. So as you see here, a little before and after. I didn't adjust that much. I just changed the shape of the dress a tiny bit. I made it a bit bigger and wider. I added some saturation in the sky. I adjusted the color of the dress a little bit, and then just in general I just did a few things. So I'm going to go into the develop setting in Lightroom, and I usually use presets to pre-edit all my photos and then I edit skin in Photoshop, but this time I was playing around and the ones that I have already didn't really cut it for me because it was a very specific image that I had in my mind. So I created my own preset using some of the other ones that I have already, and this is it here. So this is the kind of base image I was starting with. And as you see, I put my exposure down a tiny bit. I brought down the highlights and I put up the shadows to kind of lessen the contrast in the image because it was a very sunny day and it was very hard to kind of keep everything balanced. I kept vibrance and saturation on the same level. I did put up the blacks here a tiny bit and I left the highlights as they were. And then I moved on to my color settings. I changed the hue in orange to +4, -36 in saturation, +27 in luminance. You guys can just have a little look here and maybe, stop the screen if you want to see exactly what I did. So for example, in the sky, I brought the luminance down all the way to kind of make it darker because otherwise it would be very bright and I wanted real drama in the image. So the darker I bring it, the more kind of deep it's going to be. Then I went into split toning. I added a tiny bit of greens and purples, greens into the highlights here, and then a tiny bit of blues into the shadows just to kind of make the image slightly cooler, because that's the kind of vision I had in my head. So once I had that done, I just went into Photoshop. Okay guys, so this is the image we're going to be starting with. To start with the image, I am going to make it a bit wider. So I'll extend it probably by this much. I don't want to go overboard, I just want a bit more drama, but I don't want to be like, kind of going all out. Okay, maybe like that. And now what I'm going to do, just because this is quite a good area to be extending, I could do two things. I could either grab my transformation tool. So I could grab this and put the transformation maybe up to here, and then select free transform. And this way we are going to get a bit more body in the dress. And same with here. Transform, free transform, or just Control T and just extend. If that's a bit too much and extends a bit too much of the background, what you can do is you can come back, go escape, and then select content aware scale. And sometimes it works better because it only extends the end, as you can see on the screen, so it's not going to be as dramatic. Okay, we have it there. I might actually go down and extend that a tiny bit as well. I find content aware scale works quite well when you have to extend for like a bigger amount. Perfect. Once I have that done, I'm going to move on to the colors. So first I want to make the dress much more saturated. So I'm going to go into hue saturation and just put it up quite a bit, maybe by 40. I almost feel like I want it colder looking, but I will be adjusting the entire image, so I just might leave it for now. So it's just +40 in saturation, Control I to inverse. I'm going to grab my white brush, put my flow on 25, which is fine. And then I'm just going to go over the areas that I want more colorful, especially in the middle of the dress. I'm leaving the sky alone for now. I might change it later, but for now I'm just leaving it the color it is. And I just want to make sure that the dress is the one that is kind of, sticking out the most. So that's our first step, just making sure that the color of the dress is much more intense. Now next I am going to do exposure, and I want to do exposure because I want the image to be slightly faded, so not necessarily too much. And then in gamma correction I'm going to go down as well, just because I want it to be a bit more dramatic, a bit more deep, but muted at the same time. So I might go to maybe 86 and then 126, because I don't want too much either. Okay, once I have that, I am going to go into curves, and I find with curves I want her to be a bit brighter and the entire image to be a bit brighter, but the sky, so I also want it to be a bit more blue. So I'm going to go into the blue channel here, and I might bring this up a tiny bit. And as you see here, straight away it kind of becomes a bit more colder, which I like, because it just brightens it and just gives it a cold cast, and I love the kind of connection between the dress now and the sky. So next I am going to grab another curve layer, and this time I'm going to go for the sky. So I'm going to make it quite much more dramatic, so maybe like that, and maybe even grab the blacks here, because I want it to be really contrasty, but not the dress, because I feel like it's too much. So if there is a certain amount of color that you want to select, or like the sky, you can also do select, color range. It might not work because the dress might be in the shot as well, but yes, as you see here, it shows you kind of what's in the shot and what's not, but just so you get the idea. Okay, and now I'm going to invert that just to make it darker. And do you know what, I'm not actually hating the dark dress as well, but I'm just going to fill the sky up here as well, maybe do something a bit more with the sky, just to make sure there's no funny looking things. And then at the same time I would actually like to bring up the highlights a tiny bit in the clouds. Yes, that's much nicer. And then I'm going to go back and maybe just get rid of the dress overlay a tiny bit, especially here, because I don't really want to do it too much. Okay, once we have that, I feel like the image is still kind of bright, so I do like it much more the way it is now, but I feel like it's still too bright, so I might just add a tiny bit more darkness just to kind of bring down the highlights a tiny bit, or bring down the brightness of the image. I don't mind the highlights, I will be working on them in a second. So maybe somewhere here, and then I'll just do another highlights, a tiny bit of highlights here just to kind of stand out, and then a tiny bit of shadows just to add a bit of drama. And now finally I still feel like there is a tiny bit of yellow pot kind of overcast going that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to go back to curves, those ones here, and I'm going to go back to blue and maybe bring up the blue even a tiny bit more. So I don't know if I should do it in the highlights, or maybe in the middle. No, I kind of feel like the highlights work better because then it's not as severe and it does cool it down quite nicely. Okay, and then finally I am going to go and just add a tiny bit of highlights here and there. So I'm going to create my dodging and burning, so Alt, new layer, soft light, fill with soft neutral 50% gray. By the way, if you guys want to watch my dodging and burning tutorial, I'm going to link it down below, but for now this is what I'm doing. So I have that layer here. I'm going to grab the highlights, so white brush, I'm going to put the flow down quite a bit, so maybe up to 3, and then I'm going to go over the high points that kind of are supposed to have a bit more highlights. So I'm going to go over her arm here, over her shoulder especially, maybe over this little line here. And now finally for my highlights, I'm also going to add some on the clouds, because I find like I really want the connection between the silver in the dress and the white clouds. That's it, guys. That's the final image. I'm going to show you a little before and after. So that's the before and that's the after. As you can see, it's just about making the sky darker and just kind of match it together with the dress. I extended the dress a tiny bit as well, so you know it was much smaller. And that's it. That's the final image, and that's all it is. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please make sure to check out the collaboration that we did, because it was really awesome, and I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to hear what you thought about our images and our concepts and so on. I was so excited to be part of it. It was an absolutely amazing experience, and I hope to be able to do more of those collaborations in the future. So if you did like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click that bell, because YouTube is what it is right now, and we just need to do anything we can to kind of keep our subscribers, you know, kind of seeing our videos. But yes, click the bell, subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.